ASIN. Game on daily.
Welcome to the world of Q&A. So here we go again, episode 33. Bang, get the background straight away, nice and easy, and a nice little fanfare from the OST to get us started, but nobody is going to guess what that one is. That's my prediction for today. Loads of people here already. Tony's dad. Oh, Patrick's been making alt accounts. So we've got Patrick, Chris Blackburn, Wayne, KY, Tony, Pixel Slapper, Ricardo, Isla, Space Denizen. I've probably missed some people, but this is a lot of people before I've even got started. So thank you very much for coming along to do what we usually do here. Should we get straight into it? No, we won't get straight into it. We never do, because before that, it's time for a word from our sponsor. It's still me. Our sponsor is Game On Daily, which is website, platform, future social media sensation that you should go to for your gaming news and community stuff and find new content creators, things like that. It's gonna be amazing. Who's gone? Wait a minute. Patrick's scaring me. Oh no. I on my end, there's no reports of technical issues, but Patrick and Isla are perhaps implying that there are things wrong. And it scares me, because as you know, we had a few technical issues for a couple of weeks running, but last week was smooth and perfect, and I'm hoping that this week is smooth and perfect. Very, very surprised to see that nobody has shouted the game that I have in the background immediately. It is a race. First one to get it gets the points. Let's start like we always do then. Let's talk about some games. So, what have you been playing? Patrick wins. Yes, it's clearly Elden Ring. It's not even subtle. It's not like a discrete part of Elden Ring that you might not immediately recognize. It's like the central hub of Elden Ring. So yes, you got that. Good. Tony's saying suck it, Patrick, but on my screen, Patrick's answer came up first, so... Sorry, Tony. Incidentally, Tony sent me a bottle of spiced rum, a nice fancy looking spiced rum. So last week during the show, I can't even remember who asked. Somebody asked what I drink as my go-to. And Tony sent me a nice bottle of gin in the past, but now he's also sent me a nice bottle of spiced rum. So I am living a life of luxury. I've been treated. Thank you, Tony. Much appreciated. I will crack it open on stream next time I stream, which might be tomorrow. This doesn't count as a stream. This is more of a show. Game. So Wayne, you haven't played Elden Ring, but you have bought it and installed it. Fair. I do that with many games. It makes me a terrible person, but it doesn't make you a terrible person. Chris Blackburn, you're on the Xbox. GoldenEye, Call of Duty, Tinykin, and Paw Patrol with the Wii one. KY's on Pentiment, Hi-Fi Rush, and Monster Hunter Rise. They're both great games, which means one of those three games sucks, because he's listed three games and said that they're both great. So your guess is as good as mine on which one is terrible. I will talk a little bit about GoldenEye at the end, though, because not at the end of the show, but at the end of the games that I've been playing, because that leads on to a bit more of a conversation, some questions that I can ask for you. Chris Blackburn's on. I love Pistol Whip, and he playing Resident Evil 4 on the Quest 2. Just well impressive. Nathan's on Age of Empires on console, yes, which came out yesterday or the day before, didn't it? I've heard good things about the control scheme, but I'm not convinced that it makes sense for me to play it on Xbox instead of PC. And I'm not convinced that I want to play Age of Empires 2 instead of Age of Empires 4. Takeda's on RoboQuest. So RoboQuest launched in early access, and I heard it has an unfortunate frame rate, but besides that, might be a good game. Isla, you're close to installing Age of Empires. Which Age of Empires though, Isla? Because you play on PC, so you've got a choice of all of them. Touch controls on the iPad are good. Too good on Age of Empires. Tony, yes, the OST is a Japanese RPG. You have narrowed it down to just a mere 1,000 games or so. First game on my list, because I've written down so that I can remember. The first game on my list of things I've been playing is Hi-Fi Rush, same as a lot of people. Came out on Game Pass, so last week's show I'd played the first level. I've only played 2 more levels across the last week, but I still like it a lot. It's managed to layer on some new mechanics, keep up its sense of humour. Yeah, the music's a little underwhelming so far, but good game, and everyone knows that, so there's not too much to say about Hi-Fi Rush at the moment, because it's going around the social medias as everyone's favourite. You just 100% besiege. Patrick, Pokemon is not a Japanese RPG. Pokemon is its own subgenre of nonsense for children's. Sorry, Pokemon fans, but it's not an RPG, like, it's not. Which is fine. Is what it is. I apologise for saying it's nonsense for children's. Has a massive following. Even the bad games sell millions upon millions to actual grown-ups as well. What else? So another Game Pass one. Yesterday or the day before, there was a surprise drop on the Game Pass of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So I actually had that on my Xbox wish list as a game to get when it was really cheap, because I felt like playing. I've enjoyed parts of the anime, not so much the recent parts, and I thought, you know, I'm going to play JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for free on Game Pass. And I did. And I probably won't play it again because it's not very good. It's not very good. So there's like a school of, if you play any of the anime to game conversions, there's a school of them where they're like Dragon Ball and you fly around and you mash buttons and use fireballs, or they try and be more traditional like a Street Fighter reskin. JoJo is definitely more the latter. It's a traditional fighting game with fairly simplistic mechanics and, I don't know, quite a lot of content from the looks of things, but it's not super exciting to play. It's not a very accomplished beat 'em up. So I keep it installed, but I was mostly disappointed with the music, because I go into a game like that hoping that it's gonna blast my eyes and ears. Remember One Punch Man? I do have the One Punch Man game. I've never played it. This is my so Wayne said earlier that he's bought Elden Ring and never played it. This is what I do with kind of anime games. I've got One Punch Man. I think I've got a My Hero game. I've got several Dragon Ball games, and now I've got JoJo's as well. And I don't typically particularly touch them, but part of me wishes I was that nerd. So I get them and keep them in the background for when I get time. What else have I been playing? I did a little bit of VR sampling. So I didn't play these properly, but I did play them, which means that they count. So I'm making a little video, not an overly complicated video, but a little video going over my kind of easy recommendations for the PlayStation VR 2 when it launches in 3 weeks' time. And there are a couple of games that I had to actually play a little bit before I could comfortably talk about them or decide whether I recommend them or not. One of those is that one that I've been talking about for weeks on end is Demeo, which is like a tabletop RPG made for you to play with friends. And I've made several calls on this show for people to play it with me, and I do have some people in the wings now waiting. So KS Anti's there, Adriano is there from the comments on last week's show, and a couple of people from Twitter. Ains is waiting for his PlayStation to play it. I've got people in the wings waiting to play Demeo with me, but I had to play it for myself to know that it's not terrible before talking about it. And Demeo lets you play like a real tabletop RPG. If you imagine like a Dungeons and Dragons, which I've never played, I've never had like a group of people to play a tabletop RPG with. But what's going on? No, see, I thought I'd crashed because the chap sitting on the chair over there was remarkably still for a moment, but he had crashed, not me. So imagine you got Dungeons and Dragons 2. Yes, Staccato, it's going to be launch day on PlayStation VR 2, but you got Dungeons and Dragons, actual tabletop RPG. You've got a group of like 6 of you. You've got 5 friends that love to come around and play all of that. What you could do, if you didn't have friends, is decide that you're going to be all 6 people yourselves and you play the whole game by yourself. Demeo lets you do that. You can say, hey, I'm going to play this by myself and I'm going to control all 4 people and work through it. And that's enough for me to look at it and go, this is a really good game. But it's not enough that I would actually play it like that. It's like playing a tactical RPG that doesn't really have much of a story attached at that point. So I'm not going to play it like that, but it made me wish for proper tactics RPGs in virtual reality. One for the future. Demio's good though, and Decado, if you're getting in on PlayStation VR 2, a little spoiler, but it is going to be on the list of recommendations in the video that I put out hopefully tomorrow. Who would play Dungeons and Dragons alone? Exactly, Decado. No one would, and no one should play Demio alone. That was kind of what I was getting to. Demio's like that, but with less snacks. Some people do enjoy it because it is quite challenging, and it is like essentially you've got the dungeon master role. Like it is there, it does play out, and you can play you versus the computer, as it were. But it's a bit dry to play like that. It's definitely better to get around with a group of 4. The only thing that I will say about it that I learned yesterday, I wasn't aware of this, it looks like you do need a good like 2 or 3 hours to get a proper session in on that game. So it's one you need to set a fair amount of time aside for. Time, drinks and snacks, but fun if you can do that. Patrick, you tried to play Dungeons and Dragons with your son and nieces and nephew, but none of them understood how to play. Have you ever played it before? Were you trying to introduce them to something that you already enjoy, or was it your first time as well? You like snacks? Well, do you though? Like really? Because that's a broad claim. Snacks can be many things. You had a level 8 dwarf. You only played when your friends bought you alcohol. See, I've never played it, and the concept of like someone in the group essentially being the dungeon master and keeping track of these things week after week is too much for me. I've never had a consistently available group of people that would do something like that. So that's where games can come in and make it easy, because they do all the heavy lifting, and you can play something like Demio. Hopefully, that's my plan. I'm gonna play it. The other one that I played for the sake of understanding the game more before potentially talking about it was a game called After the Fall, which is basically Left 4 Dead in virtual reality. Like it entirely takes that formula, unashamedly copies it, and gives you a game. And that was quite good as well. So that'll make it into the video, I should think. So yeah, I'll save it for that. Keep going with the games that you're playing though. I know a lot of people have reeled them off. Joe, good evening. You've finished off Dead Space. How long did it take you to get through Dead Space? Dead Space is very much on my list of things to play. I've got it because I've got the EA subscription that includes Dead Space. So I will be playing it when I can. Probably streaming that one. And you've been playing Puyo Puyo versus Tetris 2, as you do, of course. And did I see Ryan McCaffrey talking about Gran Turismo 7 on PlayStation VR 2? I did, Joe, and I dismissed everything that he said, even though it aligns with my excitement for the game. Is this old school Final Fantasy music in the background? It's not AJH, but it is a Japanese RPG. It is suitably dramatic. I don't want to give too many hints on what it is. I don't think that anybody will get it, so maybe a little later on I'll hint a little bit. But I've got a really easy background and a really difficult background music. You wanted to play the game since Cognito made the Iron Lords play it. Yes. Jack plays so Jack plays not like go and sit around a table Dungeons and Dragons though, right? That's an online group. It's not. I see, Decado, you've got me there. I don't actually know how you say that game's name. I've seen it written with its Y and its S. You've put an apostrophe in there. But yeah, I'm stumped. I don't know what that series is actually called. So, with Planets, my friends, yes. Well, Demio is probably like more simplistic than actual Dungeons and Dragons. It's quite neat. You have on your turn you get 2 action points. You got you can move and attack stuff, or you can play cards that you've got on your wrist. You've got some cards that recharge on every turn. So if you're like a mage, then you've got a nice simple electricity spell that you can potentially use every turn. Oh, HAH. You're actually going to get it. It's not Breath of Fire, but it is a Shining. I'm shocked. Shocked and impressed. But you are going to get there. And when you play any kind of attack in Demio, you then roll a dice. It's not a 20-sided dice. It's not Holy Ark, but you're definitely going to get it if you're aware of these. If you're aware of these games of this era, then you're definitely going to narrow it down and get it in a second. That's enough of Demio. That's enough of After the Fall. These are virtual reality games that I will talk about in a video coming up. Next one on my list is the one that expands into a slightly broader topic. I know a lot of you are going to have tried this or have opinions on this, so GoldenEye. Have you now, Tony? Good for you, sir. Good for you. GoldenEye. Unfiltered thoughts on GoldenEye from all of you. While you're doing that, I'm going to point out the way this show works for those that are new or forgetful. I don't know. We have conversations. So I'm here talking, you're there talking, and we have a nice free-flowing scatty back and forth as best I can with all of the conversations and comments that are coming in. But if you have something really important or something that you don't want missed and you need it to be addressed and spoken about, there is a Q&A box, YouTube feature Q&A box. You can enter a question in there. It will save it up for me, and at the end of the show we'll go through those one by one and address every single thing there. Shining Resonance Refrain. It is not Shining Resonance Refrain. You were closer with Holy Ark. It's the best Shining game, AJH. The best Shining game. That will get you there. Probably. So Tony, you haven't played it, but you did on the N64. You don't care. Give you your new game. So yeah, if you're not aware, GoldenEye, the Xbox release and kind of the Switch release are very much the N64 release with very little changed. It's supposedly, I mean, it is up-resed. It runs at a higher resolution. The frame rate is more consistent than it used to be, so it's got that frame rate going on. But it is the N64 game to all intents and purposes, with the introduction of a couple of extra bugs. And I don't like it very much. Holy Ark is the best one. I haven't played Holy Ark, and that's bothered me for years. But I'd not had someone come forward and say it's the best one. But now I have to... It's just like soared right up near the top of my backlog. Shining the Holy Ark is happening in the very near future. I can't imagine it will supplant this particular game for me, but... Darge is here. Welcome, Darge, as well. No, you can't request thumbnails because I need too many thumbnails. Also, Darge, thumbnails for what? What kind of content are you making? I would like to know. It's a thing you quite often threaten to do, so I want to know if it's real this time. If it's real. My eye is twitching, and I think it's because AJH has challenged my view of Shining games. So I've got a little pulse going on in my eyelid, and I don't like it. Legacy, no. You're making content on offline modes and why they're overrated. We will talk a little bit about offline modes in a little bit. But first we're going to talk about GoldenEye. And what I really want to know, because... So Wayne said that you played it for 15 minutes. I did very similar. I went through... I loaded it up. Did the first level, the dam, on the hardest difficulty. Welcome again, Kratos. I saw your name earlier, but welcome back. I did the dam, which is the first level, most iconic level because it's the introduction, so everybody that's played the campaign has played that. Is it one of the forces? Yes, yes it is. Of course it is. Mainline Shiny. So I played through the dam. I played on the hardest difficulty that's available at the start, so the 00 agent difficulty. And it was very, very easy because the game was not made for dual analog sticks. But it was also kind of bad. It was kind of bad. Punty, of course I'm doing good. I'm doing great. I've got all of the health and more strength than any one person should ever have. So, yes, thank you. I'm good. I hope you are as well. I hope everyone here is doing well, particularly on the health, happiness, and everything you could ever want, you know. So yeah, I did the first level of... It's not two. I did the first level of GoldenEye. Actually failed it because I didn't shoot the alarms. Apparently you're supposed to shoot the alarms with a gun, and I forgot how you destroy alarms. Jumped off the dam and it said, "You're a fool, you failed." And I said, well, that wasn't much fun. I'm probably never going to play this game again. But that's GoldenEye. And what I find strange is I can go back and play Halo. So Combat Evolved, the first Halo. I can go and play that today and have a really good time and enjoy it. But I go back to GoldenEye and I do not have a good time at all, really. Like there's qualities to it that I miss. There are things about it that I like. It's got quite smart level design. It's got an old-fashioned health system that I enjoy. But I didn't enjoy playing the game. Whereas Halo I can. So I want to know what the difference is. I want to know what you think about old games. Which ones hold up? What makes them hold up? And which ones are like such a big part of your history of gaming that you want to see them brought forward in a more meaningful way. Controls seemed off or laggy to you. So Wayne, I found on GoldenEye, it's not consistent. It seems to stick at times. It feels like you're running and moving just fine, and then every now and again it kind of goes through treacle for a bit, and it's not the frame rate dropping. It just kind of doesn't feel right, and I think it's because the game was never made for you to be able to like strafe and move as easily as you can on two sticks. But it could be, who knows, it could be a bug of some other variety. But you're right, it doesn't feel quite smooth. So that's the thing, like a game that just doesn't feel good anymore is obviously not going to hold up very well today. And you would think that would be quite easy to fix. Like you could do GoldenEye with smoother controls. Joe, you played Siphon Filter last month and that's shite now. I definitely played through Siphon Filter and the only memory I have of it is trying to shoot lights in a tunnel. I don't remember anything else about the game at all really. But you used to love it and it's shite now. Did you play it on the PlayStation 5? That's one of their few back compat games, right? Chris Blackburn, you've had instances of enemies popping through doors and walls. So when I said that it's introduced a couple of bugs, that was the main one that I was referring to, because that's actually quite prevalent through the game. In the re-release, at least on the Xbox, I don't think it's the same issue on the Switch, but I've obviously not played that version because it's on the Switch. Yes, enemies can clip through things much more so than they ever did in the original one. Don't know why that is, don't know what they've done. But even in the one level that I did, that happened more than once. I've seen the 360 version of GE of GoldenEye. Yes, they were going to remaster it. It got caught up in licensing issues, and the version that we've got now, which is the Switch and Xbox version with no physical release for some reason, is the best that they could do. It's all that they could get agreed to, which is a shame, because a remake would have been a much better idea. Like, I don't know, it's hard to say. Like I say, I could play Halo, like Halo Combat Evolved, and have a good time. A GoldenEye remake, I don't know how much I would enjoy it. Like how much of the stuff that I don't enjoy today is really fixable without completely changing and defacing the game. Hard to say. But the game on this OST, which is not Shining Force 2, but is a Shining Force game, but not 2, but a really good one, I would absolutely go and play right now and have a great time, because it's still one of my favourite games. I say this confidently because I did play it like 2 or 3 years ago, a long time after it was fresh, and enjoyed it a lot. So, but that's a game where no kind of refinements in advancements in technology have really changed the way that tactical RPGs are played, so it just kind of works still. Wayne, you think that's what's wrong? They could add it to the digital version of Rare Replay, but not to the physical. Yeah, which is a weird one. I saw some people complaining about that, but you can't download things to a physical version of a game anyway. So yeah, strange licensing issue that stops them enabling the download there. You said 3. Okay, AJH, I missed the critical comment. I'm on Top Chat. See, it's not my fault. YouTube has filtered out the correct answer. Yes, it is Shining Force 3, which I liked an awful lot. AJH, you missed the Shadowrun FPS. You just wish that MS would go all in on it and keep the Counter-Strike Valorant style PvP, but add the looter-shooter semi-MMO PvE. So Shadowrun was ahead of its time in that it was one of the first games to try and broach console control pad gameplay versus keyboard and mouse gameplay, and use sufficient auto aim on console to compensate for keyboard and mouse being like quicker and all the rest of it. And at the time, that was fairly like, that's a dumb idea. And now every game does it. And it's still a dumb idea. Still a dumb idea. Which isn't strictly true. There's pros to it. It's good for people to be able to play together without restrictions. But it's still a dumb idea. No, I'm saying it. I'm sticking with that. And we can have more depth on why I think that if you want. Or we can carry on with whatever topic is next. Patrick, Forever Digital. Should we go on to that? Should we go on to Redfall? We shall. So the last game that I bought on disc was Rise Son of Rome. Back when the Xbox One came out, I had a 0.5 megabit internet connection. So it took me like 2 days to download a game. So when I bought, like, even at that point, I was mostly digital, but I bought Rise Son of Rome so that when I got the Xbox home, I had something to play. Bad for console users or for PC? AJH, okay, both. So the issue I have, and this is, only took one person for me to decide I am going to go back and talk about this one. So cross-platform play. The reason that I say it's bad is not that it's impossible to balance. So if you look at games like everyone's favorite, Halo Infinite, it's generally considered that controllers can outmatch PC players because they've got sufficient auto aim and all the rest of it and recoil control to make up the difference in the accuracy that keyboard players have. Tony's brought up Overwatch, and Overwatch has such extreme auto aim I find it uncomfortable to control. Which is a good example for why I think it's a bad idea. Fortnite, Apex Legends, they all do very, very well on console. And the problem that, like, the reason I say that's not necessarily good for console players is because, in my opinion, which means it's definitely right, at a fundamental level, in designing the way that these games feel to play, compensating against a keyboard and mouse player is interfering with that core gameplay feel. So not in crossplay it doesn't. So Overwatch might disable. I don't really know. I've not played much Overwatch. The only time that I did play it, I don't remember specifying crossplay or not. I just remember that I was trying to run around a corner and the camera was sticking to something that wasn't even there. But generally, if you are supporting crossplay and you're trying to make it a fair fight between a PC player and a console player, then you're dicking around with the console controls and aiming for fair rather than what feels good. Whereas if everyone is on a console, then those are the same thing. What feels good is fair by default. So Overwatch 2 disables it in competitive, which surely just means that, I mean, Overwatch is not entirely accuracy based in the same way as like Halo and Apex and things like that, but that's still going to be a pretty big advantage for PC players, particularly for certain classes, right? Like you wouldn't have a good console player as that Widow character, whatever she's called. PC Master Race has got aimbots. So, well, PC Master Race has keyboard and mouse, which lets you respond and twitch aim way faster than a console can. It has the accuracy there if you're any good at it. So, which is why auto aim is there to compensate, and which is why I say it's always a bad idea, because even for the console players could probably have a better feeling game if the developers hadn't got into their controls and tried to make it fair for them. And that's my contention on why crossplay between those is never a good idea for a competitive game. Makes tons of sense for like PvE games and stuff like that. It doesn't make sense for things like Halo to me. I'm a Mercy main. I don't have a main on Overwatch. I don't have a main on Overwatch. But Mercy's a good character, so sharp. That's the only time I played Overwatch since it became 2. And I was playing on a controller where I can't aim for shit. So Mercy was a good choice. Let's move on to Redfall, shall we? Let's move on to Redfall. And the controversial requirement, Tony. My accuracy is just fine in virtual reality, more or less, kinda. Shut up. Redfall, always online. Do we have strong feelings about this? Some people have strong feelings about this, and some people are very dismissive about this. Space Denizen, I'm not on Top Chat anymore, Ryla. What have I missed? Space Denizen is my VR buddy, so welcome, welcome, welcome. Patrick, very strong feelings. Elaborate. What are your very strong feelings? You think it's super fine, like not just something to ignore, but actually something to celebrate. Wayne says it's bad. Takado says not since Anthem, he's just kind of used to it. So for a long time, like many years ago, before they were popular, I was playing very much internet games. I'm very used to games that can be taken away, and one of my favorite games ever is completely impossible to play now. And that's like, it's not nice. So there's like almost every topic that the answers are somewhere in between the extremes. For me, so shady, I'll get to that in a second. For me, Redfall as an example doesn't sound like it's a great thing. Like, it doesn't sound like there's any benefit to requiring this connection, and this is the like dividing line for me. I've seen some people, like Oh No It's Alex was on Twitter saying that there are never any circumstances where a single player game should require an online connection. That's not true for me. That's like too absolute. For me, if a single player game wants to offer me something for my internet connection, then I'm in favor of that. It's absolutely true to say that if you require an internet connection, then you've thrown game preservation in the bin. And we've had conversations here about game preservation before, and whether it's important, whether it's not. And for some people, it's really important. For me, it takes a backseat to innovation. So for me, if Redfall was saying like, you got to have an online connection for your single player game because we've got this cloud-powered destruction system and the whole world's going to be blowing up around you, so it just doesn't work if you're offline, I'm massively in favor of that. But if they're saying you have to be online because we're worried about like a few people cheating, or we just like want to have that level of control or anything like that, then it's not really great, because game preservation is then thrown away for no particular reason. Like, there's no benefit for me as a gamer. So at that point, and Redfall, they've not come out and given any reason to justify it being online only, so it shouldn't be. Peter Morland, you do not need to apologise for being late. Tony, there's loads of people coming by. Thank you for coming to talk. Give me your strong opinions, give me your watered down opinions, give me your like sitting in the middle, don't really care kind of opinions on not just Redfall, but games in general. Single player games requiring connections, and when it's okay and when it's not. Is game preservation really important to you? Because that's the other thing. It's a bit strange because Phil Spencer's come out very publicly over the last like year or so talking about how important game preservation is, and he was saying it to kind of big up the Xbox backwards compatibility program, which is fair. Like, the back compat program is good and impressive, and I'm a big fan of that. Played quite a few games on there. I want to play more games on there, but I said at the time, like, that's not what preservation is. That's like one side of the coin. But if he's serious about game preservation, then it's not just about fetching games from the archives. It's about making sure games that are currently being made have that kind of consideration built in. So if you're serious about game preservation, then you don't make Redfall require a connection for the single player mode, because that's not game preservation. So walk the walk if you're going to talk about it. But it could be that it has a good reason. I don't think Arcane Austin have actually come out to clarify why it needs that connection yet. So if there is even a small improvement to the game as a result of that, I'm fine with it. DRM games suck when the internet is down or they kill the service. Yeah, those are real concerns, Kratos. I agree, which is why there needs to be something offered in return for what is a clear detriment to us. It's okay, tomorrow is Friday, you guess. That is, as guesses go, you probably nailed that one. It's not certain, but it should be Friday tomorrow. Wayne, you just bought 2 back compact games today, Jet Set Radio and Daytona USA. Did you buy those because of the news that the Xbox 360 store was kind of going? If so, you didn't need to, because they'll still be available on your current console. But no harm in doing it. Wayne, are they on sale or anything? Like, how much do they cost for these old crusty old games that you've gone and got? Crusty old classics, Jet Set Radio and Daytona USA. You don't have them on £6. £6. Oh, that's good price for some classic games, right? It's Lost Odyssey and stuff that you need to make sure you have. If you've never played Lost Odyssey and you've got 100 odd hours, Lost Odyssey is worth owning. Isn't there a disc for those games? Yeah, Kratos. So the thing that Microsoft are doing is they're taking, I don't know why, but they're delisting these games from the Xbox 360 store, but they're back compact games. So if you've got an Xbox One or an Xbox Series console, you can still buy those games, is what they've said. So they're not actually going away in a way that should hurt many people, and there will still be discs for the Xbox 360, which was an era where the discs actually worked and had games on them, so not a massive concern there. We don't talk about that here, Isla, because saying it out loud is awkward. But yes, you can go to places that have second-hand games. You've installed them today. Good. You're sure that the 17 people actively playing on their Xbox 360 will survive? Do you know, I have... it's probably like a collector's item now, because I've not just got an Xbox 360. I've got an Xbox 360 that does not have an HDMI port and works. And the reason that that's significant is it means that that is an Xbox 360 from the bad solder era. It's an Xbox 360 that has a 9 in 10 chance of getting a red ring of death every time you turn it on, and mine still works. But I don't turn it on, it's sitting in the other room, not plugged in. There was a point in time where it had some particular, like, I don't know, Netflix or some app like that wasn't on the Xbox One, so I kept it around for watching something. So I have a working 360 with no HDMI port, ready to red ring of death at any point for the sake of, I don't know, I'm sure I could make some kind of TikTok content out of that. Are there people that use TikTok that also understand what the red ring of death was? Probably not. Probably not. Yadani has come along as well. Welcome. Welcome. We're talking red ring of death, Lost Odyssey. Takado, Lost Odyssey is 0 discs if you buy it online. Like if you buy it from the digital storefront. 0 discs. Just a download. Not even a particularly big download, because it's they were DVDs, not Blu-rays. So you can do it. You can get it. It's way, way, way smaller than Call of Duty. Patrick, it's weird to you when people don't play games still think that red rings are a thing now. Do they? Do they? It was... Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say to that. I don't know any people. That's what you did after seeing the case. Mm-hmm. I probably have Lost Odyssey on disc somewhere, because I did have that on disc originally. That was pre-Rise Son of Rome, when I still got some games on discs occasionally. But that's Redfall, right? Let's talk about Atomic Shart. Did anybody see the gameplay for Atomic Heart? I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to play it. Not going to play it with sound because I can't be bothered. No, that's wrong. Wait. There we go. So here's Atomic Heart. I want you to look at this game very closely. Very closely. And then I want you to imagine this game running on Xbox One. Because it is coming out on Xbox One. I did say Atomic Shart. The title for this stream says Atomic Shart, so I had to be consistent. don't get me wrong. I hope that Atomic Heart is the game that I can see here. But I cannot even see a hint of like level of detail changing in the distance. I cannot see a limit to how far out the shadows are drawn and the lights are cast. And these are massive like red flags for a trailer. Are you a real game? Is it going to be anything like this? Hard to say. Wayne, it does look really nice. Kratos, one trick that worked for you when you had the Red Ring of Death, you wrapped it in a few towels to keep the system, to keep an eye on it. You let it shut down on its own, and it worked well for a bit afterwards. Yeah, so the Red Ring of Death, like, to go over ancient history, Microsoft had the Xbox 360 designed, tested, and ready to go, and at the like kind of last minute before releasing that console, they shifted to a more environmentally friendly solder. Wayne, this is the 10-minute gameplay video that's playing at the moment. So they switched to an environmentally friendly solder that they were assured was just perfectly up to spec for the console, and it turns out it wasn't. That solder melted at a much lower temperature than the solder that the system was designed with. So there were a lot of consoles out in the wild that, if used extensively, the solder would melt, and you wouldn't. You get Red Ring of Death in the console. Yeah, lead-free solder. That's right, Peter. You get a console that you can use. You get the 3/4 red ring. And you were screwed. I got it twice playing Oblivion and once playing something else. And yet somehow my most recent refurbished console from Microsoft is the one that I've got out there that has no HDMI port. Maybe they changed the solder. Maybe that's why it still works. Patrick, some character models don't look amazing, but it's probably going to run real bad on Xbox One and PS4. Yeah, some of the character models don't... Like, if you're looking for flaws in the game, then that's the closest. But it's not just that it won't look like this on Xbox One. It's that trying to cram what you can see here onto the Xbox One doesn't seem feasible at all. It's not just going to look different. Like, it's going to look awful, surely. And it's not going to look like this on Series X and the PlayStation 5, or it's not going to look like this on my 3090. Like, I just can't see it. And I hope that I'm wrong. Like, I really... Oh, there was a little bit of a shadow issue just there. One of the bushes kind of shimmered a tiny bit. I don't know. We'll see. It's coming out in February. It's on Game Pass, which is a bold move if it's not everything it's cracked up to be. So we're all going to find out. We're all going to give it a go. And if it is... And the trailer's not just looking good, like... The gameplay has a lot of depth to it. It's quite expansive, the things you can do. The areas that it's playing out in, as the trailer goes on, they show like getting in the car and driving around it as an open world and things as well. And you look at this and it's like, ooh. It could be an absolute belter of a game. It could be one of the best things that we see all generation. Or this trailer could be a massive scam. And... I'm like 60-40 towards it being a scam or deceiving, misleading nastiness. This is definitely PC footage. This is not even like, if it's PC footage, it's probably like above maximum settings PC footage. So PlayStation footage, yeah. Still, February, it's coming out. We'll all play it. We'll see. Steam Deck footage, yeah, Tony. Do you ever use your Steam Deck, Tony, or was it a terrible mistake? Say it was a terrible mistake and you hate it. You don't have to say that. I hope that you do like get some use of it and it was a worthwhile purchase for you. It's still not something that I'm interested in myself. Enjoy it every night. You're lying. Unless you're using it as a pillow, you don't enjoy it every night. There's no way. So shady, yes. The trailers absolutely look stunning. Like, just too stunning is all. We can hope. as a heating pad for his back. Maybe so. Okay, Santi, you think this will be a Game of the Gen candidate? You've been keeping up with the game for about 4 years now. It's an NVIDIA RTX showpiece. This is 100% PC footage. So the 4 years thing, KSNT, is one of the issues that I have with this game, because if you go back and look at a trailer from 4 years ago, it looks this good. 4 years ago, they didn't even have a game, so how are they doing trailers that look this good? And how can I believe that this one's genuine if they're so clearly capable of faking them? But, like you say, it could be. Could be this is really what the game is, and then you're right, it could be a Game of the Generation contender. They also seem, though, Mundfish also seem a little bit sketchy in some other ways as well. If you've seen things like the stuff they've been saying about Denuvo and not listing it on Steam and things this week, they seem a little bit off with the way that they communicate. Tony, you're playing Enslaved. Does Enslaved hold up as a game that's worth going back to? I didn't particularly like Enslaved when it was fresh. I think it was a little overrated, that one. But do you think that it holds up? Are you having fun with it now on your Steam Deck? Space Denizen, you'd rather buy a VR headset rather than a Steam Deck? Absolutely. Everybody should buy VR over a Steam Deck, unless you spend a lot of time on the train or toilet. No, you can use VR on the toilet. You might look a bit weird on the train, though. So yeah, if you spend a lot of time on the train, get a Steam Deck. But if you're at home or on the toilet or whatever, VR all the way. Patrick, you think going on 6 to 7 years now, they said something about devs putting in collectively 400,000 hours into it or something. Well, on a scale of abandoned to scale-bound, how sketchy are they? I mean, that's like on a scale of -10 to -9. They're somewhere in between those, Yodani. Okay, Senta, you own both. You play your Steam Deck so that your kids don't see you killing things on the big screen. There are reasons. I'm not a Steam Deck hater. For me, much like the Switch, I don't play things on a small screen, or I don't go anywhere where I need that. So it doesn't suit my lifestyle in the slightest. Therefore, I don't use it. But I'm sure for a lot of people it makes a lot of sense. So Shady, Harry Potter next week, Wild Hearts the week after, then Atomic Heart, then Wo Long. That's 4 big games in as many weeks. Yeah, so of those, Harry Potter I have no interest in. Like, it's going to need to get straight 10s from every review site for me to be interested in that game. Not that, it's going to need to perform exceptionally well. I don't like the Harry Potter universe, so it's not on my list. Wild Hearts might be. Atomic Heart is definitely on my list. Wo Long is definitely on my list. Of those, the only one that I would say I'm confident will actually be good is probably Wo Long. But hopefully all of them will be good, Peter Morland, you are scooting a 360 on a VR toilet, Violet. Well, I'm not sure how the plumbing would work on that toilet, but I'm sure somebody could come up with something. So, yeah. Technically, I do. The screens are just right up to my eyes. AJ, some people think that's what virtual reality is. Some people think that it's like having a phone pressed up against your eyes. And I know you're... Like, it's not inaccurate what you're saying. There are small screens very close to your eyes. You like the word FUD? That's one of the minor topics that I thought we might cover and we might not. FUD around PlayStation VR 2. We can talk a little bit about PlayStation VR 2. It's not... I don't want to scare people. I've got a video coming out hopefully tomorrow, but if not over the weekend, going over games that I'm interested in for the... PlayStation VR 2. Hoofhearted, welcome. That's a name I haven't seen. You're looking forward to Gran Turismo 7. That's a question. Am I looking forward to Gran Turismo 7 on the PlayStation VR 2? I will get to that in a second. I've got a video looking at it. I think it's ended up being 12 to 13 games that I find easy to recommend for PlayStation VR 2. Either because I've already played them on other platforms, or because they're just very clear, obvious candidates for things that are going to be showpieces for the headset. That video will come out. It's not a massively sophisticated video, but a lot of people ask me what I think about these games, so I'm gonna put them down and let people see. The Gran Turismo 7 is... The videos this morning got you. Do you know what? The one that I dismissed, even though it aligns with my views, was IGN's. Someone asked earlier about DMC Ryan's take on it. And the reason that I completely dismissed their opinion is that they said Gran Turismo 7 was already a great game and virtual reality elevates it to be even better. And that just screams shield to me. Like, no one in their right mind is calling Gran Turismo 7 a great game unless they've got Sony sitting on their shoulder telling them to say that. That's beyond diplomatic. Gran Turismo 7 was a sterile, pretentious mess of a game. And in virtual reality, it's going to be brilliant. Like, that's the truth of it. Say it. You dislocated a girl's arm once. Yes, that's not so related to virtual reality, but yes, you did. I was there. It was entertaining. It's IGN. They can't say anything bad about Sony. Exactly, Patrick. But when you can read that through the messaging, then the messaging doesn't mean anything. Nonetheless, Gran Turismo 7 is going to be real good in virtual reality. My problem with it is many years ago when the Xbox One X was Project Scorpio and they had Project Scorpio chip that said like high fidelity 4K VR like on the chip or whatever. At that point in time, I said to myself, Forza is better than Gran Turismo, so my steering wheel should be one that works with Xbox and PC rather than PlayStation and PC, because I'm more likely to use it with the Xbox. So I got a steering wheel that works with the Xbox and the PC. And then Microsoft betrayed me. And now I need to try and figure out what to do with Gran Turismo 7. Do I like it enough to switch my steering wheel to a PlayStation variant? Because they cost money, like. But yes, I've got Gran Turismo 7 already. I'm going to play it. My first play of it, realistically, is probably going to have to be with a controller. Or I don't know what they're going to do in terms of people using the... can't remember what they call their controllers. You know, the VR controllers. But it's not going to be a steering wheel play when I go in there. So I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look at the car. I'm going to go, shit, this is like really impressive. And I really do think it will be. At the moment... the steering wheel that I've got that I can use on the PC, I'll very, very happily play Virtual Reality, Dirt Rally 2 and Project Cars 2. But in both cases, because they're like... They have proper like dedicated virtual reality modes and they're phenomenal once you get into them, but getting into them is a little bit of a pain in the balls. You have to navigate like menus that were designed for the desktop version and go through some quite painful load times and things like that just don't work very well in virtual reality. So they're fantastic games, but I actually think that Gran Turismo 7 will probably trump them, because I think that the PlayStation VR 2 is just going to be a really like nice easy access experience for high quality games like that. It's going to be a very much like stick it on your face and navigate the menus and get in nice and quickly. So unless you're a new Gran Turismo player, oh, this is going to be awful. If you've never played Gran Turismo 7 and you get a brand new PlayStation 5 and you get PlayStation VR headset and you go, fuck yes, I'm going to play Gran Turismo 7 on my high-tech equipment, and you put the headset on and it makes you watch that 8-minute trailer, that'll be an awful experience. That'll be like, I hate VR. It's an 8-minute trailer of some Yeldy cars and factory workers. Gran Turismo 7 has the worst intro, and that's going to be just as bad in virtual reality. If you can get through that though, get into the actual drive-in, I think it's going to be brilliant. Yes. What am I talking about? Oh yeah, PlayStation VR 2. So Wayne thinks it's going to fail. Wayne, the reason that I've got as one of the potential topics is the PlayStation VR 2 FUD. There was an article from Bloomberg this week, most of you probably saw it, that said that Sony have halved production of the PlayStation VR 2 due to disappointing pre-orders, which, as messaging goes, it's not like, who cares? It's just numbers, and most people don't. I very frequently say I don't care for conversation around sales, but one of the most valid, legitimate concerns that people have around the PlayStation VR 2 is that Sony's support for it might waver. It's an expensive device and people don't want to buy it for the launch catalogue and then find that Sony kind of stopped making games for it within a year. So this message that was reported by Bloomberg that spread around to all of these major publications within like 2 hours was quite horrible to read, when Sony is sitting there saying none of this is true. We've got no changes to our production numbers, please stop. And it's like, don't kill the thing, it doesn't need FUD. It's already like teetering on the edge. Another Kinect situation, well, another Vita / PSVR 1 situation. So it's a legitimate concern. Anybody that says they're waiting because they're not confident that Sony are going to keep supporting the device, I can't argue with that. It absolutely makes sense. Like, that's a sensible approach because Sony have dropped things before. And obviously I really hope that they don't drop support for this thing, but it's possible. So I don't know, having mainstream gaming media like affirm that as true when it's not even yet, it's just a shame. Kinect sold a metric shit ton. Yeah, Kinect, like in terms of the 360, where it was actually a separate device, it was absurdly popular, and obviously it was packed in on the Xbox One for a while. Still, like going all the way back there, it's still the reason that I bought the Xbox One before I bought the PlayStation 4. I had a very good PC in those days, and an Xbox with Kinect offered me something different that the other consoles couldn't. I'm all for innovation. I'll always be picking like a company that is trying to do something new and to give me games that I haven't been able to play before. I will always pick those before I pick like step hardware advancements. So Kinect was kind of interesting, even though it flunked. AJH, just Microsoft went too much all in on it to the detriment of the console and itself. Yeah, Kinect, I mean, Microsoft managed to garner negative press around everything that they were doing, so sounds like a quality device, but you doubt it'll be successful and see a ton of support. Well, yeah, it's expensive. It's obviously like, so Sony, when they were introducing the device, they said that like the key for them to be able to support it meaningfully is to pivot their game development to be able to support VR and pancake games through the same project, and they are correct. Like, that's the only really viable way for them to develop for this platform, I think. So hopefully they mean it, and as they're making their future big Last of Us Part 3 kind of games, they will also be making those games to work in VR. And if they do that, then the device will have that kind of virtuous cycle that they like to talk about. It will have a drip feed of content that can get the audience to slowly build up over time until it is like a self-sufficient platform. But it's hard to get a platform there. Just is. So, but I'm getting it. I'm really looking forward to that headset. I actually I really like the Quest Pro that I've got as well. It's really good for sweating into. I'm going to do a proper review on the Quest Pro. I'm going to do a proper review on the PlayStation VR 2. I'm going to do more VR content stuff, and I'm going to play more games in it. And I'm going to play all the pancake games that come out, and I'm going to go back and play Shining Force 3 and Lost Odyssey, and I'm going to play Marvel's Midnight Suns, and I'm going to play Dead Space, and I'm going to play everything. It's going to be great. I might play all 6 like Halo games or whatever. You feel like it's going to add quite a bit of dev time to have all of their games work with VR. Oh yes, the virtuous cycle. Very cyclical. Except it's not really a cycle, it's more a drip, linear drip. The virtuous pipe. Virtuous pipeline, let's go with that. As long as there's virtue in it, then it's all good. Yes, Patrick, it will definitely add some dev time, but then you look at like what Capcom are doing with Resident Evil 8. There are some games that fit. Gran Turismo, it just fits. It's not that difficult to do. What do I think about the HTC XR Elite? You're thinking of getting that first. You get the PlayStation VR 2 once it's in stores. I think the HTC XR Elite looks like a really nice device. I have zero interest in the pass-through mixed reality functions of it. But it looks like a good thing with HTC though is, and me and virtual reality headsets in general, I'm not that interested in the standalone native like ecosystems that they have. So the Quest has a stronger ecosystem than the HTC XR or anything that HTC do. But in either case, I'd be entirely relying on using them as PC headsets more so than anything else, more so than like standalone native headsets. And PC VR is a little bit stalled anyway. As you know all of this, KSNT, you know where PC VR is. But for those reasons, for people that have a PlayStation 5 that are looking to get into VR, I would recommend PSVR 2 over the native devices personally. I think it's a safer bet in terms of getting content. If you're getting it for PC VR, you wouldn't spend that much on anything not OLED. So I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, Space Denizen. There are downsides to OLED screens as well. The Apple AR, whatever they're calling it, VE, VR, VX, all of the letters. I don't like Apple as a company. Never have liked Apple, never will. But I don't like Meta, and I like what they're doing with VR. I don't like everything they're doing with VR, but I appreciate that they're putting money into VR and supporting it. So Apple's headset, I'll make time, but I don't have 3,000 quid to spend on it. You generally avoid OLED. Oh, OLED's beautiful, AJH. It's beautiful. The bigger issue with OLED that I have is I've not used many OLED, like proper OLED VR headsets, but the Samsung Odyssey, their second iteration of Odyssey, had a very nice OLED screen, and it had a lot of smear as you looked around. The pixel refresh rate is just not as fast as the LCD screens that you get in other ones. Whereas the Quest 2 is not very good at blacks. The Quest 2, you go into a dark cave and everything's that kind of murky grey. KSNT, you really, really hope Apple doesn't succeed, because if it does, it'll be like the iPhone and how it starts slowing down whenever a new one is released. Yeah, but like for the sake of VR in general, anybody succeeding is what the industry needs. So if it has to be Apple and it goes all super expensive and focuses on weird things that I don't care about, it still means a bigger VR ecosystem. So I hope they do well. I don't have much faith in them doing that, and obviously everything they do is going to be wildly overpriced, but Apple doing well means that then Samsung will start doing well and all the rest of it. And Samsung, I don't know, you might have heard, Samsung, Google and Qualcomm have got together to make a new VR platform as well. So there will be more VR in the future years to come. It's not going anywhere. The biggest not concern, but area of focus for me when I look at VR and I get excited about it, for me the exciting bit is games. And for Meta and Apple and Samsung, that's not necessarily the case. So, but you know, I'm always going to care more for the games than for the architectural drawing and business meetings. So I hope that gets to remain a focus in terms of hardware and software going forwards. And I'm very much looking forward to PlayStation VR 2 for that reason. No milk though. Yeah, no milk in your VR headsets. Yes, the questions and answers thing we'll be getting to soon. I thought this would be a really short show. I don't even know what we've been talking about for the last hour and a bit. But I am aiming for a slightly shorter than usual show. So we'll get on to those questions soon. If you have things that need to be addressed and spoken about, stick them in there. If not, let's talk about... Do I have any other topics? What else has happened this week? What do people care about? What do you want to talk about? Patrick, it has been an hour. It has been an hour. It's flown by. We've talked about... If anybody knows what we've talked about, leave it in a comment after the show or help me with the timestamps, because I got no friggin' idea. Kratos, try orange Pico tea. That's not for me, that's for Isla. With cream and honey, and don't overpower the 3 ingredients. But when you get that right, and you taste all 3, then it's bliss. Sounds like hard work, Kratos. But I do believe you. Tony, Patrick has adopted you in his Xbox family plan. Have you got an Xbox family plan? Where are you, Patrick? That's only in like Ireland and like Zimbabwe or something. I don't know. I don't remember the other. Poland? Is it Poland that has it? You're not in either of those. Maybe you are. It's taking a little while. I thought the Xbox Game Pass family plan stuff would be out by now. It went on like they said it was like a trial price and all the rest of it, but it was very much the service launching in a couple of countries quite a few months ago now. Patrick lives in Madagascar. Okay, good, Tony, good. I totally believe you. Kratos, you used to have 3 cups a day during the winter months. Are we out of the winter months? It's February now, isn't it? You filled out the adoption paperwork for Tony. That's good. I hate paperwork. Otherwise I would have adopted Tony long ago, but I can't. I don't fill out forms. So, we have talked about stuff and things. I was written down a tea recipe. Let's do the questions, I think. I've got like loose topic on various things that have been cancelled. So EA have cancelled a bunch of stuff. Apparently the Coalition have cancelled a couple of games for Microsoft. Obviously there's been a whole shit show at 343 over the last couple of weeks. We've got Meta have terminated their Echo Arena games. We've got Rumbleverse, the Battle Royale game on the Epic Store from Iron Galaxy, that's being shut down. Apex Legends Mobile gone. The Battlefield mobile game is never going to happen. There was an Apex or a Titanfall Legends game that's been cancelled at EA. May well also have been a mobile title, I don't know. Many things cancelled, much bad news. But there's still enough games to play, right? So I don't know, I don't really have a lot to go on those. I'll very briefly say on the Coalition, so grain of salt and all the rest of it, but Jeff Grubb generally knows everything. The Coalition were apparently working on 2 games that were not Gears of War. Possibly smaller games, possibly fairly chunky, I don't really know. And those got cancelled in the mix of Microsoft getting rid of various people. So whether those games were cancelled and then some people were terminated, or whether people were terminated and those games were cancelled as a result, is unknown. But the Coalition's next game is looking like being Gears of War 6, which wasn't the plan until very recently. They were going to do some other projects first. That one kind of sucks because I don't care about Gears of War 6. The Coalition are really, really good. Like, I want to see what they can do. I want to see them flex and make something new. And I will absolutely play Gears of War 6. Gears of War 1 to 5 were very competent in their own ways. Their visual showpieces, their technical showcases for the Xbox consoles. Gears of War 6 is there, but if you said, like, if you gave me a choice, you said the Coalition are going to make a game, would you like it to be Gears of War 6, or would you like the mystery box? I'd absolutely pick the mystery box. Even if it was like smaller and a bit damp. I'd be like, yes, mystery box. I don't hate Gears of War, but give me the new thing. Peter Morning, you can't find love for Gears or Halo. Oh, go back to Halo. Not current Halo. I liked Halo 1 to 3. I liked Halo Reach. I'm not going to do a big old like Halo fan fiction rant like Gaz does every week on Go Live, but they need to remake Gears with the original characters. I'd probably play that, but again, mystery box is more enticing to me. Small Patrick. Yeah, sure. That's all I got on cancelled games. What about you though? I'm not going to get a poll because we've got the Q&A up and we're going to go into those questions, but Gears of War 6 or Soggy Mystery Box? Your choice. What would you go for? You don't actually get a choice because you're getting Gears of War 6, but... And while you're putting those up, it is time for... No, not requests for compliments. Oh, requests and compliments. Okay, it's time for the Q&A bit. So, I don't know what to press. Isla, first question, please. You'll save your pick for something else? No, you got to pick. Soggy, wet, slimy, damp box. Exactly, Tony. Marcus and the gang get bored at the old folks' home, so they have to go on an adventure. So you want a mystery box, but you're hoping that it's secretly somehow connected to the older cast of Gears of War. Why did Halo include those annoying little comedy-voiced aliens that destroyed the atmosphere? They didn't destroy the atmosphere, but Peter, that's fair. If you didn't like the grunts, then you didn't like the grunts. I appreciated the way that they come to respect you as the demon as you go through. KY asked, if PlayStation VR 2 sales remain low, how badly will this affect development of new PlayStation VR games on account of poor returns? How likely is this if the price stays at £500 for the next 5 years? KY, kind of touched on that already a bit. I can only hope that Sony are committed to it. So VR needs some of these big organisations with money to spend to be committed to actually delivering games. I don't know whether they have realistic projections or not for how well the device sells. I think they're really, really unfortunate in the way that the economy has shifted in the time that they've been thinking about this device, because I really sincerely don't think that they wanted to launch it for £500. I think they've been hit horribly releasing this at what they know is an unappealing price at an unappealing time. When Meta increased the price of the Quest 2 by £100, kind of knew at that point that Sony were now in a tight spot, because Sony, I've always, since the PlayStation 4 and since the success of the PlayStation 4, I've always felt that they've had a price first design, like a price first approach to their hardware design. So that's why the PlayStation 4 Pro kind of sucked ass, because they set a price and they built the hardware spec to it, and they set the wrong price because it didn't really suit what a Pro console was. But I really think that was supposed to be at least £100 cheaper, and they just couldn't hit it. So it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt the sales of the thing, and I really hope that they manage to get VR development into their regular development pipeline, rather than, like, they're not going to stick big studios onto big VR games, because it just doesn't make any sense. There's not going to be enough hardware out there to sell big numbers. Like, you're not going to get your 11 million God of War sales if you make a God of War VR, but you do need to have God of War in VR. So they need to come good on their plan to kind of split development, dual focus in that way, as it were. There's some letters. AW3423DW or AW3423DWF. The only difference is G-Sync on DW, which increases the frames to 175. DW goes up to 165, but DW does not have firmware updates because of G-Sync. Tony, that makes no sense at all. Are you sure? I'm assuming these are Alienware 34-inch monitors. Doesn't make sense that you wouldn't get firmware updates. If it's got the hard G-Sync module, then that's kind of redundant now. It's quite an expensive thing. But yes, Tony, I don't know the difference between those monitors. You seem to have done a fair amount of research into it, so I say trust your left testicle. See what it thinks and go with that. Next question. Tony, if you have any actual, like, concerns about one or the other, I don't know the answer at the moment, but if there's anything specific that I can help you with, then do send me a DM and I'll try. Then they're both, well, then it's the left one, Patrick. Even if it's the right one, it's still the left one if it's just got the one. I don't know. Next question. Patrick took it as part of the adoption process. Brutal. Punty, any inside info on when the Starfield Developer Direct is coming? I'm not an insider. I refuse those connections. When Sony say, come and play Gran Turismo 7 in virtual reality, all you have to say is that it's already a really good game and now it's even better. I ignore their emails. So I can't give you that. I'm still hopeful that the game lands in June, but we shall see. Next. So, do I think they can make Halo feel like Halo if they switch to the Unreal Engine ends up being true? You think it's possible and needs to happen if they swap to Unreal? It is a good question. I've seen people say, of course they can. Like, the engine doesn't make the gameplay, but no, the engine definitely does or can make the gameplay. The answer depends on how much they lean on what's already built into Unreal Engine. How much work they're going to put into it, because Unreal Engine obviously has all kinds of like physics systems and things built in, ways that things are gonna, like, objects in the world are gonna interact with each other, and ways like simple things like aiming and shooting. You can lean on what's built into Unreal Engine already, and it's very customizable, and you can tweak it to a degree. But if they absolutely want to make it feel like Halo, they're going to be rewriting big chunks of that engine to do it. So, but you're right, like Halo Infinite, for all its flaws, felt how Halo needs to feel, really. I don't think many people criticize the feel of it, criticize like the latency and the desync and things in the networking, but not the core feel of the gameplay. And that, despite it being a cross-platform game made to like compensate the differences between keyboard and mouse and controller. So they actually did very, very well on that. They can definitely still do that on Unreal Engine 5, but they do need to put the work in to make it happen. The game on Daily Insider, well, do you know what's really funny? I'm going to say this. We had a go live show a couple of weeks ago where it was right after the Forspoken review codes thing came about and was spreading around. So we had a show on Saturday where we were like, yeah, this is raising some like red flags that Square Enix aren't offering review codes to all of these big publications and stuff. And we were talking about it, like, just genuine conversation based on what we had been seeing around. And after the show, and not until we'd already had this conversation, did I realize that we'd actually been offered Forspoken. We've been offered the code to produce content on it. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Like, all of these people haven't been getting it. We actually have been offered it. We didn't ask for it. They approached us and said, here's Forspoken. And it's not Square Enix. They used like a PR company in Bristol. But they approached us to cover the game. It's not really an oops though, because it's not a thing I particularly want to do. So I don't personally... it's like, given where we are and how we support content creators is a little bit controversial, but I don't personally put much stock in anyone that's getting games for free. Never have done, never will do. It's not where I go for reviews and stuff. So it's not like a line that I want to walk, really. You've got reviewers like ACG. He pays, so he gets the games early from his PR contacts and all the rest of it, but he makes sure that he buys every game that he reviews because he doesn't want to lose that like integrity that makes you take things in earnest and treat them as if you are a customer giving honest feedback. Much as everyone thinks that they can do it, it's very, very difficult to maintain that when you are being smoothed by publishers. So it's not something I particularly have a big interest in. I don't really want free stuff. I'd rather stay earnest and sincere, as it were. Did it at least give me a little bit of validation? Yodani, like, part of me wants to shield properly and be like, oh, hey, people that make these VR treadmills that I love, please send me one. I'll make videos for you. Like, of course there's some appeal to that, but no. How about I buy it and actually tell you what's good and what's bad? Patrick, you applied for an early Redfall code. Why not, eh? They invited people to apply. No, Yodani, I definitely don't have any money. I definitely don't have any money. But still. I don't know. That's a difficult, like, it's a difficult line to walk. And like, I'm really not trying to be overly disparaging of the people that do create that content. Like, a review is a lot of work. So yes, you get products and things, but if you are like a reviewer that's making that effort to put out that content, to actually play a game in its entirety and produce content about that game, you're essentially not gaining anything by getting it for free, because you're putting in more work than really justifies what you're getting back. I don't know. It's complicated. A lot of people are trying very hard to do this well. My own personal line is that I don't want free stuff. I do, of course I want free stuff. Reviewing properly is a hard job. It is a hard job. Like, it's also like reviewing and games journalism in terms of as an industry, in terms of making money, like return on investment, to spend 50 hours playing a game and then produce a review, you have to have a huge following for that to actually be like time well spent if you're trying to pay your bills. So it is a difficult spreadsheet to balance for people that are doing that. Patrick, they told you that your channel wasn't big enough because you got 3 subscribers. That's like, right again, but say please this time. SkillUp does a great job reviewing it. Yeah, SkillUp does. ACG does. There are definitely like people putting in that work and doing well on it. And there's also a lot of people. So I'm not going to say it. No, I am. Am I going to say it? I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say it. Yeah, I am. Sure. No, I'm not. Not going to say it. What's next? Next question. How disappointing to play a game for many hours and find that it's shit. Well, exactly, Peter. That's a situation that I don't want to put myself in either. I don't want to take Forspoken and play it, and like, you shouldn't feel awkward about saying that that's bad if it's bad, but it is an awkward thing. So no, I'm just not putting myself in that situation. I will buy Forspoken if I want to talk about it, and then I will say if it's bad. Did I do the question that's currently up? Yes. Yes, I think so. I've had a terrible, that was like, I don't know, there's been a fair amount of back and forth waffle today. I apologise for anything that wasn't clear and concise or that didn't make any sense, but sometimes it's like that, whereas sometimes I make like good eloquent points. Can't always, or I'd be like a much better content creator than I am. Right, what Xbox game am I most looking forward to that will most definitely arrive in 2024? 2024? 2024? Avowed. Yes, that's my answer. 2024 is like, I'm not sure if that was a typo or if you meant this year, but if you actually mean next year, yeah, Avowed. Because Obsidian make really, really good games, and Avowed is a game, and Obsidian are making it. I'm not sure, I think Fable might be further out than that, Tony. And I'd put Avowed above Fable anyway. Playground have made great racing games. Fable has had great games in its series, but Avowed is like it's a fresh concept that Obsidian want to make, whereas Fable is an established IP that is being like words, you know, the words. It's more of a money project rather than a passion project. Avowed, I think, hopefully will be the one. State of Decay will hopefully be cool. Yeah, I am looking forward to that. I actually haven't really played State of Decay 2 enough, but it is a series that has some appeal, so hopefully 3 will be really good. Your phone barked. Rough. Balked. Is Halo, the game series, getting a reboot now? Or was it just rebooting the Studio 343? Yes. I think they are rebooting it again. I think Halo Infinite was already a reboot, essentially. And now it's getting another one. So I guess the question there is, are they going to pursue the endless? Like, are they going to make it a continuation from Infinite? Are we going to see what happens next? Or not? I mean, even with Halo Infinite, which was clearly a reboot and which clearly did drop big chunks of the story, they didn't actually put it forwards as being a reboot, did they? It was kind of sold as if it was going to be a continuation of the Chief story. I suspect they'll do the same again. So the next Halo will be a continuation. Halo Finite, yes. Whether it'll be like it's Halo Next, whatever it's called, and there'll be radio recordings that are like, do you remember when we beat the Endless? Whoa, that was a fun time. Loads of stuff went on. In the manner that Cortana died. Like, just don't do it in a game. Just voice notes. Yep. Story has progressed past that. You didn't get to play any of it, but trust us, it was brilliant. We shall see. Blah, 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 blah. Next. Halo Infinite recycled trash. What do you mean, Tony? What did it recycle? It was kind of a continuation, just skipping a bunch of important things. Yeah, which makes it not particularly a continuation. Like, it was chronologically supposed to be after certain events, but they definitely skipped the third game of that Halo trilogy. We never got our big war with the AI and all the rest of it. They were just like, no, just the endless has happened. It was great. Rate your thumbnail out of 10. I can't see it. I'm going to go with a strong 8 for this one. Which is really high as scores go. But I don't want you to feel demotivated. So you can aspire to even higher scores in future thumbnails, right? For those that don't know, Isla does a lot of the thumbnails, most of them. Every Thursday thumbnail for the last, since they've been good. And when they're crap, it means that I did them. Needs more memes. Okay. It was a continuation of Halo Wars, essentially, and not 5. Yeah, they've skipped. Like, 5 was supposed to have things happen, and we didn't get to play them. Tony's thumbnail brings all the boys to the yard, so perhaps Tony should do a thumbnail. Tony doesn't need to. He has given me rum, and I'm eternally grateful. That was it for questions. So we managed an hour and a half. We had Elden Ring as our OST for the day. We had Shining Force 3. Minor trivia point thing. This is Shining Force 3 Scenario 1, 2, and 3. As we've managed an hour and a half of the show, we're probably partway through Scenario 2 now. So Shining Force 3 was brilliant, but it was a Japanese RPG that told its story from 3 different perspectives as 3 different games. So it had its, like, don't want to make it sound boring, but it had a republic and it had an empire. And you played a Republic campaign as Scenario 1. And then Scenario 2 was supposed to be the Empire's campaign, and Scenario 3 was the through line that took you through to the end of the dramatically unfolding storyline. And it worked really, really well, except that in the UK and America, Scenario 1 came out, and then the Saturn went away, really, and we never got Scenarios 2 and 3. But you can play them. They were fan-translated, and you can play them through emulators right now, which is what I did 2 or 3 years ago, and they're great. Such good games. I really like Shining Force 3. And I would love to play it in virtual reality. Tactics games would be so good in virtual reality, like everything. All the games. You wouldn't think about tactics being one that would work, but it definitely would. So would racing and shooting and all the obvious ones. Halo and 343 are Marmite. You are not supposed to eat them. Halo and 343 are Marmite, but not sure. Not sure. Not sure. See, I was thinking, like, in both cases, 343 and Halo, my view on them isn't that extreme. Like, I don't hate what they've done, and I don't love what they've done. But then I'm the same with Marmite. I don't really hate it, all of it, so it might just be me. I might just not be capable of these extreme feelings. Will Gazzy's new job affect the project that we had planned? We have many projects planned. So realistically, the Game On Daily project and YouTube channel and all the rest of it, particularly the website and platform, has been stalled for at least a year, on account of it's very hard to pump money into it and keep it moving forwards. So no, if anything, it should help us move forwards. We still have we've got plans to get things moving again in the near future, so keep an eye on it. It won't affect what he's doing with the YouTube channel. Yes, Isla Gazza's got a job currently, and he's changing to a similar job, similar field, similar role in March, I think. The only thing that it has changed for him is he has stopped doing, you're probably already aware, he's stepping off of XNC, of Colt's show. because I think he's planning to actually sleep in the night. But he's still very driven to do the Tuesday show that we've had planned for a while, and the Saturday show, and the videos that he does. And we're still going to be getting that website, getting some of the features that we have planned in the future. No one tells you anything. You've just been told. My butt hurts. Which I'm not saying because Isla was craving information. I'm saying that because it means it's time to finish up the show. And that's what I'm going to do. So imagine going to work at a real job and having Gaz take calls in auto-tune. Patrick, he almost certainly does as well. He can't help himself. He'll come onto like a Discord call and use it. So I imagine he does it in his lawyering as well. Yudani, you're going to miss him on X&C, but not his Halo takes. You're going to miss plugging Game On Daily and our YouTube. Yeah, he's not dying. He'll still be around. He'll probably still join Cult from time to time as well. Like, they are good friends behind the scenes. So it was clear he needed more sleep. He's still going to need more sleep. He's still going to be Gaz. He's still going to be scatty as ever. We'll still be late for everything and all the rest of it. And we'll still have good times. Loads to look forwards to. For now. Yeah. See you at fake E3. Wow. That's a difficult thing, actually. So IGN ran a story that Xbox, Sony and Nintendo aren't going to be at E3. And nobody seems entirely certain what that means in terms of Microsoft, whether they're actually there or not, because they're never at E3. They're always across the street at their own centre doing their own thing. And that makes a big difference to people planning to buy aeroplane tickets and hotels and things, not knowing if anyone's going to be there or not. But anyway, that's not a topic. Thanks for all the people that stopped by now and earlier and after the fact. Do leave the comments and the likes and the shares and all the things that prominent YouTubers such as myself is supposed to ask for, but it does genuinely help and give me something to feel good about. And Microsoft has already said they're doing the same as ever. Well, that's encouraging, Acid Flare. Good. And on that, how did I do a whole show and not finish my coffee? Terrible coffee drinker I am. You want more Last Uncharted, right? KY, I actually, the next part, if I get to it, is going to be so good. It's better than the first part. It's genuinely funny in my head. You just wait. I do intend to make that. It is quite hard to make those. Yes. Good. Nice little motivational moment. I'm on it, KY. It's going to happen. For now, though, I'm going to say good night, goodbye, good day, good morning. I don't know where I am or what's going on. I've suddenly gone really tired. I will see you in the near future. Thank you very much.